All right. Just like all of our other functions, our rational functions that we just graphed, our quadratic functions, our absolute value functions, all these functions we can transform. So we can go ahead and shift these. Our transformations, we're just moving them around. We're moving them left, right, up, down. We're flipping them. We're stretching them, all kinds of this lovely stuff. So here is your standard form of a square or cube root function. Notice this n right there. That n just means that you can replace it with a 2 if you want a square root or a 3 for a cube root. So it kind of does the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's a square root or a cube root. That's why we're teaching them together. These shifts are going to be the exact same. Now, notice you're going to see some letters that you've seen before. There's our A. Okay, again, this A, you should associate it by now with reflecting. If it's positive, it's just the normal shape of a parent function, but if A is a negative number, remember it reflects it or flips it over the x-axis. This H should be familiar, this K should be familiar. So let's talk about those. H right here, remember this is what we call the horizontal shift. This is our horizontal shift. This is our value. Notice it's inside the function with our x right here. It's inside the function, it moves it left and right. Now this always goes backwards. So if you see a plus under there, it's going to shift it to the left. If you see a subtract, like this one right here, it's going to shift it to the right. So just kind of be aware that's the exact same as all of the other functions that we've been doing to this point. Okay. All right. So K is the vertical shift. And this one stays true to sign. So if you see a plus right there, it just moves it. Since it's vertical, it's going to move it up and down. But the positive direction we usually associate with going up, and the negative we associate with going down. So that one's going to stay true to sign. Okay, the end point. Remember, the end point is when we have a square root. The turning point is when we have a cube root. So I'm just going to write that under there. That's a square root. This is a cube root, has a turning point. So it'll be either one or the other. You're not going to have both of them. I just put them both on there because, again, this is how you graph both of them. But this one is easy. Remember, it was 0, 0 for our parent function. So it's just going to be your H and your K. It's kind of like your vertex right here. It's just going to be how many you move it over horizontally and however many you move it vertically right there, H and K. All right. If A is negative, then the function is reflected or flipped, reflected across the x-axis. You guys should be getting all really familiar with this one. And then just like our other one, A can also denote stretches or shrinks. So the bigger A is, the more that it is stretched. So if A is a number greater than 1, we call it a vertical stretch here. And if A is a fraction, if it's some number between 0 and 1, it's a vertical compression, or shrink is fine too, compression right there. All right, let's go on to a few of these examples here because they're easy once we just did what we've been learning. So now all we're doing is describing the transformation. So you don't have to graph these at all. You just have to tell me what these values mean. So when you look at this one, this is our H. Remember, we'll write it up here. This was our f of x. So then we can see it as we're doing this is equal to A times some root. I'm just writing n. Ours right here is a 2 of x minus h and then plus k after. So remember our H right here, this is a horizontal shift. So this one's going to move it. And if it says negative, it actually moves it to the positive direction 7. So we're going to move it over 7 to the right. You're welcome to put right 7 or draw an arrow 7. This 2, that's our K value. Remember, that's our vertical shift. It's going to go up. That one stays true to its sign, and it's going to go up 2. So the transformations compared to its parent function is it's just going to move over 7 and up 2 from where we graphed the parent function. Okay, look at this one. The only difference is a cube root. I don't need to even write that. However, I need to look at this 4. That's our A right out here. So A is positive, so it didn't reflect it, but it's a number greater than 1. So if it's greater than 1, remember we call it a stretch. It's a vertical stretch. If you want to write factor of 4, that would be completely correct. I'll just put a parentheses 4. Basically, all your y values are just getting 4 times bigger. Okay, and then there's nothing, there's no h right here. I'm not subtracting anything under the radical, so I don't have to move it left or right. However, I do have a k. That -1 means I'm going to move it down 1 right there. All right, look at this next one here. We've got a negative. Our a value here, it's kind of hidden, but it is a -1. Okay, so again, if your a is a negative number, it is reflected over the x-axis. I'm okay with just reflected because we're not going to reflect them over the y-axis this year at all. So just it's a reflection right there. And then the +3, notice it's under the radical. It's in our cube root right there. So if it's under the radical, it's our h. It's our left and right shift. This one's backwards. So when I say +3, I'm really going to move it the negative direction 3 or to the left 3. All right, let's do one more for this video. Let's do orange. Okay, so this 1/2 right here, again, 1/2, it's multiplied to my square root right here. So this is my a term right there. If it is less than, if it's between 0 and 1 right here, then that is a vertical shrink or compression. Vertical compression. You can write factor of 1/2. I have not been carrying, if you know that. I just want you to know that all of the values, all the y values are half of what they were in the parent function. Okay, the subtract 2, again, that's under the radical, so that's our h right here. That's going to move it to the right 2, or the positive direction 2. And then the subtract 6, our k, that one stays true to sign. It's a vertical shift, but we're going to move it down 6 right there. All right, we'll do the next couple on our next video.